Well, hey there, you awesome bipeds, quadrupeds, and even the occasional dinosaur. Merry meet and happy Yule time, you guys. And go ahead, welcome to my den. Come on in, and please wipe your paws. If you go ahead and take a seat by the fire, the water is ready for coffee, tea, and even hot chocolate now. And to those of you who are new to the den, my name is Little Wolf. And this is going to be kind of an off-the-cuff recording. And I just want to say thank you to all of the ones who are following me on a regular basis and watching my episodes. It really surprises me when I get comments from people who say they really like it. Especially like the one where I did my review of A Christmas Carol. I kind of thought that might bore some people, but they said, they really liked how I put my picture in with all of the screenshots from the movies. And I'm glad you had fun with that. That was a really tough one to make for me. And I just didn't know how people would take it, and I'm glad you liked it. And even my episode of having just old radio shows play, I had people telling me that those were ones that they grew up with as kids, or they would hear at their grandparents' house, and it brought back some really good memories. And that's the kind of thing I want to do with my den, is to allow people to come in, take a seat, relax, and just have a good time. And I'm so glad that I'm able to do that for a lot of you people. It makes me feel so much better. And I just don't know how to thank you for that. And the Christmas time this year is really hard on a lot of people. And even if you don't celebrate Christmas, or Hanukkah, or Kwanzaa, or anything like that. I mean, I just hope you have a good day, and I hope you're having a good time. And this is just supposed to be a time for our friends and our family and our loved ones. And with the people I've met online, I've made a couple of new sets of families that are really important to me. And the first group I'd probably have to call out right now, because I made them first, would be my Frosty family from King Frostmere. I first started hanging out in their chat rooms and watching videos with them and playing the little mini games you can play on Streamlabs and just having a good time in there. And it was a good time killer at night because, like I said before, I stay up, good lord, sometimes 24 hours a day, and I'll sleep 3 to 5 hours. And so I would go in there, and they would have streams that would run from like 10 o'clock at night till about 6 in the morning my time. And it was a time where I would get together with them, and we would go on the gambling, we would go on the heists, and things like that. And slowly I started making friends with people like Rob Walker, or Jen. There's even one named Frosty Audrey Goddess, or Goddess Audrey Frosty, one of those 3, 4. But you people know who you are. And I know I've sent my shows to you and you've listened, and you say you do like them. And I want to thank you guys for becoming one of my first families online. And it really means a lot to me that you guys accepted me as a friend. And then my next group, of course, would have to be my gaming group with Chrismer and the Derp Squirrels. Because jumping online with them and playing Among Us for the first time I had no idea we would become a little family and a little group that would get together maybe 3, 4 times a week and spend anywhere from an hour and a half to our longest game, I think, was 5 hours of either playing Among Us or Cards Against Humanity, and now even the Jackbox games and Quiplash and things like that. And it's just been such a relief for me to be able to geek out with a group of people and just play a game and have a good time, and to bring smiles to certain people's faces, and you know which ones you are. It, it's just so much fun to be able to sit down with Chrismer and all of a sudden just hear him say, are we live? Hello? We're live, right? Yeah, we're live. Okay, good. Sorry, Chrismer. Love you. And then hearing Mama Raisin complain that she has to read certain cards out because we know it's going to be her reading it, so we picked that. And of course, Surf, who's jumped in with our game a few times, and he's not one for swearing, and he's not one for talking too much. So we usually try and pick the longer ones to get him to talk more, and we love you for it. Boop. And then Batch, who I call Hobbit because the first time I remember seeing him was on one of the streams, and all of a sudden you just see this really just Hobbit-looking guy, and he was pretending to be a flat earther, and you just see this red beard and red hair, and I just couldn't help it. That was the first thought that came to mind, and I'm so glad you have a good sense of humor of me calling you Hobbit. And there's been so much that you've done for me in our group that I can't even really begin to thank you. And of course, one of my best friends on there now, which is Bun Bun, and all of the times that we've gotten together and played games, and all of a sudden she's just calling me stupid, and that she can't handle the things that we say. It's just so amazing. And she invited me to play with a different group of people a little bit after our group started, and I finally started to come out of my shell, and it was just so invigorating for a little bit, because I'm usually very quiet when it comes to meeting new people, and when I first start to meet people, I wait and I listen and I study them, and then I can figure out where I can draw my line in the sand for my sense of humor, because I have a very off-the-wall sense of humor. And you'll probably hear it, and you probably have many times by now if you've seen some of our streams, and when our newer streams go up with other things, you'll hear it some more. And as long as it makes people smile or laugh and forget about all of this stupid stuff going on right now, I think that's really what makes it worth it for me. And to know that you guys love it and you guys like me is just so amazing. And of course we have Psycho Bob, who is another person that is in the group, and just being able to bounce off stupid things with him when we're playing the games, and you'll hear me, Chrismer, and Dave just kind of say off-the-wall comments, and it's just so much fun, and I can barely put it into words, and that's kind of odd for me, because I can usually say a lot of words, or none at all, but you know, I'm odd that way. And I know that there's probably a few other people in our gaming group that I'm forgetting right now, but those were the main people that we started gaming with, which was Chrismer, Raisin, Bun Bun, Batch, Psycho Bob, and me. And the fact that we only started gaming in October and we've become such a close-knit little family really means a lot to me. And there are so many nights where I didn't know what I was gonna do or anything like that, and I just felt like crying, and I talked to the people in that group, and they helped me out a lot, especially Mama Raisin, and she has kind of helped me realize that I am important in our community, and I am loved, and it's something I'm still getting used to, because I'm just a little geek from Alaska, and I didn't think I would ever be this popular or this busy online at all, and just making weird comments in the chat, and suddenly I have so many people that are saying hi to me. Like, we have King Crew, who's always calling me out, Renee and me, and Clive Wells, and I always want to say Jing Su, but you know who you are. I mean, it's just so fun. And then people, like in my newest group that I'm gonna be with, which is the Swordsman, people like Foehammer and Skydiver Tanner and Dark Steve. I mean, these were just names to me for quite a while, and just yelling out hello and making trollish comments inside the chat. There are just so many people who, anytime I go into a chat room, they'll just suddenly start calling out my name in the chat, and it's just so odd to me, but I really like it. And I'm the kind of person who, I like being the center of attention, big surprise, but I also am really shy too, well, kind of, sort of, maybe, but it's just so amazing that so many people have followed me and listened to what I say, and I've even been told I was wise for some weird reason, I don't know. But just this community in general, with the debunking community, when I first set a paw inside of a chat room and started making funny comments because we were watching videos of certain flat earthers who should not be named, but you know which ones I'm talking about. You have the Gandalf looking one from Australia, and of course you have the idiot here in America who bounces balls on hammers, and then you have the idiot over in the UK who likes to teabag people for some weird ass reason. But to think that I've made so many friends through all of this, and you people have just followed me and loved me for it, it means so much to me. And I don't really know where I'm going to take this channel. I want to do some movie reviews, like I've said before, of some public domain movies that I know I really enjoy. And I would just like to share some of them with you, because some of them are little known or forgotten, but they're such amazing and fun movies, and they're sitting right there on the internet for free for anybody to find and grab and enjoy. And that is one of my biggest pastimes is movies. Especially as a kid, that was my babysitter for just about ever. Um, I can remember being able to hook up the VCR was one of the first things I ever learned to do. And of course, the memories of going to the movie store and renting out a couple of movies over time. Well, actually, our first place that I remember renting movies from was kind of like a weird little grocery store, and it had an aisle of movies and Nintendo games. And I didn't even realize what a Nintendo game was at that point. I was too young. And, ooh, wait, the first movie that I can remember always renting and my dad would get tired of was a movie called Mio and the Land of Far Away. And it was just such a fun movie, and if I could find that now, that would still probably be one of my favorite movies ever, and I would wager that it would go up against Harry Potter and really nail it and beat it to death almost. Because, I mean, you have Christopher Lee, who plays a bad guy, and you have a son who lives on Earth whose dad has supposedly passed away or just left, and he gets an apple from a store, and the shop owner, I forget now, just gives it to him, or he buys it and he's walking home, and he realizes that it turns into a golden apple, and for some weird reason, a giant wizard head just kind of pops up in front of him, and he grabs a hold of the wizard's beard, and they float through space to a place, the Land of Far Away. And he realizes that his dad is the king here, and he has a metal horse, I believe, or kind of a robotic horse, and it was just such a good movie. And along the way, he gets a cloak that, when it's reversed, turns into an invisibility cloak, and just the adventure he has in the movie is amazing. And it really captured my attention as a child, and I would rent it over and over and over, and my dad just at one point finally said, "No, you cannot rent that movie again. You just rented that movie the other day." Oh my god, I'm sorry, that movie just kind of brings out such a big tangent in me and such happy, warm feelings. And if you ever find it somewhere, give it a watch. I really think you would like it, especially if you're into movies like Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings and things like that, where there's magic and wizardry and knights and just all of that kind of fun fantasy type stuff. Is such a good movie. And growing up in Florida, that's what I did, was watched movies. We lived in a trailer park, and my dad, he was a substitute teacher, but he also worked in the trailer park. And so, he would go up to work in the store, and I would stay at the trailer, and I would just watch either stuff on cable, or I'd watch many of the movies that we had. And that's where my love of some of the weirder, obscure movies would come in, because I can remember watching things like Chud, or a lot of people will hate this one, but Friday the 13th Part 5, where, spoiler alert, Jason isn't the actual killer in the movie. But to me, it...
A few moments later.
Sorry about that. We had a little bit of a technical difficulty there, and that's kind of common with my internet and everything like that, especially if you do watch some of our games online, and they'll notice that I suddenly drop out of Discord and then have to drop out of the game really quick and have to reconnect. But, hey, it happens. And it's live, so yay. Well, sort of. Right now, for me, I'm live. For you, it'll be pre-recorded. So it's pre-live recorded. But, like I was saying with Friday the 13th Part 5, it was one of the movies that I just grew up with, so I liked watching it. And it also had another actor that I knew in it who was from Return of the Living Dead, which for me is in my top 2 movies, at least horror-wise. But it had the guy that played Spider in it, and you get to see him take a dump and die. And so that was always just so funny to me. But I'm really getting off on a tangent on movies, but that's easy for me to do because I have so many movies that run through my head, and that's usually how I wind up communicating with people. And my ex would even say that I speak in cinematics. And Mama Raisin said that's one of the reasons why people started making GIFs. And I really like using GIFs now too, because it's easier for me to put that out there because that's what's in my head. And movies like Horror Express, which is a really great movie too, where they have found a weird frozen creature in the ice and they're transporting it on a train, and you have Christopher Lee as another kind of weird bad guy, but he's not. But then again, when is he really ever a good guy? Yeah, that's a good question. I would have to look that up with the Oracle sometime. But watching that movie and seeing where that train goes is such another fun ride. And it's also another movie that's in the public domain. And it's a movie that I'll probably review at some point. And just share it with you because it's definitely up there as one of my favorite movies. And a movie like The Brain That Wouldn't Die, and it just being a black and white kind of classic movie where there's an accident and all this guy can save somehow is his girlfriend's head, and he keeps it alive, and you would hear a creature behind a door. And I can remember my dad telling me, I would always ask, what's behind the door? What's behind the door? And he would tell me to just be quiet and watch the movie and you'll find out. And for a long time I'd forgotten about that movie. I remember her head sitting there and moving around and looking, but that was about all I could remember. And then I found it inside of archive.org, and it's definitely a classic, at least in my mind. And of course you have Night of the Living Dead, which I would rank up there with or Return of the Living Dead as my 1 and 2 top favorite movies ever, because I just love that kind of storyline where you have just a random group of people stuck in a situation and they don't know what they're gonna do, and they barricade themselves up And then you realize that not only are the monsters outside a danger, but the people inside and around you are just as dangerous. And it just made such a love for zombie movies for me, and those are easily my top creature of a horror movie. And I can't really explain why. They just are. I mean, they'll either eat your flesh or they'll go after your brains, like in the Return of the Living Dead series. And people don't realize that not all zombies just go after brains. And the whole brain-eating thing came from Return of the Living Dead. Because in Ramiro's version of the movies, they would just go after any type of flesh of the human. And they weren't even going to actually be zombies. They just got coined that. Throughout the whole first movie, they're called ghouls, which is almost a zombie. If you look it up, I'll have to look it up at some point too again. But it's a creature that was dead, comes back to life, and just eats the flesh of people, and he wanted it to be a ghoul, but it somehow got coined into being a zombie, and so he just took that ball and ran with it. Ooh, I want a ball now. But, movies like that, and then of course you have Dawn of the Dead, which was one of my favorite ones, especially living in a time period where malls were such a big important thing, and you get to look back at that point in time and see what a mall looked like back then, because they did have things like gun stores inside of a mall and things like that that they wouldn't even have nowadays because of how much of a weird line that is in American society. But it was just such another roller coaster of a ride where you have a group of people trying to survive against zombies trying to get them, and then you have a big biker gang that comes into the mall and starts destroying things and just wreaks havoc on the little spot of paradise that they have inside the mall. And it's just another really good movie for me that I can have and watch just about any time. And then you have the follow-up to that, which was Yeah, my mouth just decided I'm not going to speak the word that you want to speak right now. And you people have heard me in some of my other things. Yes, words are hard. But then you have Day of the Dead, and it's an underground bunker, and the people are trying to survive under there, and you have some fun characters in there. Like you have the character they call Dr. Frankenstein, because he's trying to, I guess would be domesticate zombies, or make them safe, and trying to get them to eat other things than human flesh. And then you have people like the guy in charge, Rhodes. It's been probably 2 years since I watched this movie, so the whole timeline of it in my head is a little mixed up right now. But I have Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, and Day of the Dead saved on my phone. And so I can pretty much watch them anytime I want to, and they are easily up there in my top list of movies, and they always will be. And I'm sorry, I'm still going off on tangents. But You know, I wanted to just thank all of you for following.
One eternity later.
Are we live? Hello? Hello? Is this thing on? Oh, wait, okay, yeah, sorry. And of course, yes, I'm having more technical difficulties with my phone because I'm rambling too long and it'll shut off and for some reason it'll stop recording. So I guess I need to shorten this up a little bit more. But I would like to share movies with you guys and to share radio plays or even some of the podcasts that I listen to. And maybe throw in some clips of them if I can get a hold of them and ask them if I can share bits and pieces of them with you guys to give you guys a hint and a taste and maybe a longing to want to listen to them. But to just say right now, thank you all for just being a part of my life and to just having me as your friend or your family member and the little groups that we have made. I know each one of them has their own little circles now. With A Week in Horror, they have their own little group of people. And the people like the Plot Hole, they have theirs. And of course, the Four Swordsmen have theirs. And we will come and get your beards. Don't you worry about it. J.L. Warren, I've been measuring yours to try and put on to my knight. I think it'll look good on me. But with that joking aside, we love you guys, we really do. And we're just trolling you like we do in chat. But now we're gonna do it live for people. We're not sure where we're gonna take it with the swordsman. And we're actually surprised we're almost as popular as we are. Just like I'm surprised that I'm as popular as I am with the people in our community. Because anytime I pop into a chat, I'll have people like Renee and me, or Microraptor, or Clive Wells, or King Crew suddenly just say hi to me, and some of them have told me that I make them happy when they see me pop up in a chat, and it means a lot to me to know that there are people out there that do care and love for me online, and you guys have just made this whole year so much easier to get through, because there are so many times at night when it's hard to get through some of this stuff. And I know it because I've talked to some of you when you say you're having a hard time. And I'm glad that I can help you get through it. But that's what we're supposed to do. We are a community. Yes, we're gonna have our banters. Yes, we're gonna have our fights. Yes, there's gonna be falling out. And there's gonna be some coming backs. Wait a minute, Tanner, no ideas, please. But there are people that are gonna drop out of the community and make their way back. But we're all adults here, so let's act like it. We're gonna have our disagreements, we're gonna have our fights, we're gonna have our bad moments and times when we feel ashamed of what we said, or not feel ashamed of what we said. But we should at least be able to be civil. We have enough going against us in the world that we should be able to jump online and almost feel safe and accepted amongst our community. We are a community who likes to point and laugh at the stupid, and the stupid will try and attack back. But we do not have to sink to their level, and we've seen how low their level can be. Attacking people for their sexuality, attacking people for their religious beliefs or non-religious beliefs. There's just so much that they will attack because they cannot attack what we bring in science and math and all of that. They're going to go for the low blow because that's all they have left. But let's not sink to their level. We are not that low of people that we need to do that. And to some of you out there that I've seen, I know we're having our problems with YouTube and that they're trying to censor some of the things that we're trying to bring out and point out how stupid it is that people will believe this stuff and they'll strike down your video. And yes, I agree, it is a bad, stupid, idiotic thing that it's doing by striking down your video but leaving the original video up. But there are better ways of going about fighting YouTube on it. But that's all I'm gonna say about that little area right there. Because we have gotten together on YouTube as a community and made friends, made families, made our own little townships in this community. And we should be able to get along and be civil at least with each other. So let's at least try and do that. And also outside of the internet, let's try and do that too. I mean, like Irish Demon would say, just try and do something nice for a person. And I agree with that. I have my friend Angel who makes little giveaway packages to hand out to people that she sees that are homeless on the street, because she knows what it's like to be homeless, because both of us have been there. Earlier this year I spent time staying at the shelter here in town, and I was jumping between staying at the shelter and being at my friend Angel's house, and then also being at my leaseholder's house. So we know what it's like to have nothing. And I still almost have nothing, but I'm happy, and I'm making it, and the big reason for that is you people. And no, I don't mean you people as in you people, but just you people. You guys are so amazing to me, and the fact that you'll follow this little idiot ding from Alaska for as much as you do just means so much to me. And knowing that what I have to say matters to people blows my little mind. I love you guys so much, and you have no idea how much you guys mean to me. And when I see all of you guys in the chat, it's just so amazing that we have come together, we've made friends. Some of us have even found love, some of us have fallen out of love, some of us are just straggling along and copying and pasting things. Gary, stop it. You're a moron. Quit it. But you guys are just so good to me, and sometimes I wonder how I got this. But like Mama Raisin has told me, you guys love me, and I'm starting to accept that. And I love you guys back so much. I have my family with the gamers, I have my new family with the swordsmen, and I have my real life family And I couldn't have made it without that triangle for my safety net. And I don't even know what the internal angles of that triangle is because it's big enough to keep me off of the ground. Well, not really, because the ground is where I sleep. I sleep on pillows. I really do. But thank you again for just following me and showing me what I'm doing with my channel is actually important. And showing me that you guys care. And just being a friend to me and saying hi. You guys are so amazing. And let's just see where all of this goes. I want to have some fun on my channel. I want to share some old movies. I want to share some old radio plays. Because there's so much in that little area of public domain that people have seemed to have forgotten about. And I want to bring them back because they're such good content. And I've spent so many hours of my life watching it, listening to it, reading it, that I want to share it with you guys. And I hope you like it. And again, thank you for listening to me ramble on for as long as I have. And all of this is all unscripted and mostly from the heart. And getting mad at myself when I realize that my phone has stopped recording. And then I have to start again. And then, no, and then. But thank you so much for making this little wolf feel loved and accepted. You guys are amazing, and keep being amazing. And just remember, we have one world to live on. Let's try and at least make it easier for some people, especially our loved ones. And I love you guys so much. So, I guess that's about all there is for me to say right now. Until next time, goodbye, you awesome bipeds, quadrupeds, and even the occasional dinosaurs. Good night, good day, good something, goodbye.